Hey, Javier here with my very late response to Moses' question. Very interesting question. Do we live in an abstract world? I'm going to tackle his second question first, which is, does it even make sense to ask that question? As fireworks go off in the background. I would say no.
Difference between 60 seconds.
Okay, first of all, let me apologize for my very late response. I wish I could say that it's such a long time coming because I've been working on a killer script and this is going to be a totally non-rambling video, but unfortunately that's not the case. My excuse is much lamer. I'm not even going to bother giving it. I'll just go ahead and ramble on. The reason I'm saying that it doesn't make sense to answer the question is very similar to what Origin and Brain Discovering were saying in their videos, that the idea of an abstraction and the abstract or an abstraction is something that we pull out of nature. It's not what's there. An abstract is part of what's there, and we essentially pull out a part of what it is we're observing or describing or predicting, modeling, and we build this model using this abstraction. And I would go further and think that when I think of abstraction, I think of an abstraction as something that you use to describe, say, a group of things, and you pull up, say, a model. Your abstraction is a description that fits the whole group. So I would say that the sentence, dogs are animals that bark and wag their tails, is an abstraction. It's an abstract statement. But carrying it into the realm of mathematics, which is where I think you were going with this. Well, no, it's where I know you were going with it. It's the same deal. We study nature. We take our observations, our perceptions of nature, what we see, what we can observe, what we can measure, and we make abstractions from that and build models that try to describe, mimic, and predict what we see in nature. And we keep getting better and better and better at it. So, okay, now this is where I start rambling. Where was I? Yeah, but either way, it's always going to be just an abstraction. We're always going to be taking just a part of the system. And, just like the example with dogs, all dogs are, in a sense, they're individual, they're all different, but the idea of animal that wags its tail and barks is an abstraction, which is a commonality, and we can use that to describe, predict, mimic. That I'm repeating myself here, but with the mathematical systems, like for example the game of life, where you can get these complex systems based on simple rules, and I think it has to be. I'm going off on a tangent here, but it has to be that way, that the complexity is formed by more simple parts. But it's the nature of mathematical abstractions that when you're setting up these models, these abstractions, is you need a set of rules in order to build them up. You build them up. You make a set of rules and from those rules you build up the model, the abstraction, which mimics what you're observing. So you're kind of doing a reverse engineering kind of thing of nature. And so I think the question you're asking, and I may be completely off base here and totally reading you wrong, is that since these abstractions that we have follow simple rules that we made up, and hence from that we get these complex systems with behaviors that mimic nature, does that mean that nature works in the same way? That it's also following these rules, these laws of nature, and hence building from that, you're seeing the natural world as we see it? Or is it that it's working by some other system, or maybe it kind of does what it does because of its nature, and then the rules are just our way of making the abstraction work, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I think it's the latter. I don't believe that nature actually functions by rules. I think we can imitate it very faithfully using abstractions that follow rules. But I don't think it actually works that way. But more importantly, I don't think we'll ever know.